name is Ramiro Alvear. Robert F. Borage Jr.
Manny Mendoza. Robert E. Parker.
Felix Saito Perez.
My name is Carlos Mendez.
My name is Joseph Bray, and I'm the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army here in San Antonio down to the Rio Grande Valley. What an honor it is to have all you here this morning for this Quilts of Valor presentation.
Mark time. Mark. Color guard. Halt. Left. Base. Reset. Arms.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Arms. Right. Base. Column left. March.
Quilts of Valor. I've been engaged with Quilts of Valor going back to 2018. 2018, when my younger brother wanted to present me with a Quilt of Valor at my 50th high school reunion. He tried to keep it a secret, but failed. Failed miserably, I might add. Well, I went to high school in Green Bay, Wisconsin, so I was up there for my 50th high school reunion. And when he had to break the news and he had to tell me, because there was so much involved in trying to coordinate everything, he had to let me know because the quilt had to get up to Green Bay some way, etc., so on and so forth. So when I found out, he wanted to present it to me at the reunion. I said, well, that's really not fair, because we had other classmates that were Vietnam veterans as well. So what I did is I contacted Quilts of Valor here in Texas and in Wisconsin and said, listen, we have an emergency. And this was in the June-July time frame, and the reunion was in August. And so I said, can you get me 8 quilts as soon as possible so we can have a ceremony like this in Green Bay and present the quilts to each of the Vietnam veterans in my high school class at my 50th reunion. And you know something? The ladies from Quilts of Valor here in Texas and the ladies from Quilts of Valor in Wisconsin made it happen. 2 representatives from Quilts of Valor drove 4 hours from their city in Wisconsin up to Green Bay to present the quilts just like we're doing today. So that's been my involvement in Quilts of Valor since 2018. And I've made a pledge, a personal pledge, that is my goal here in San Antonio to get a Quilt of Valor for every Vietnam veteran, every Vietnam era veteran, and any other veteran that would like a Quilt of Valor. And as I mentioned, we're on our 8th ceremony here, and we've done others. So to date, I'm probably up to a little over 135 quilts to veterans here in the San Antonio community, mostly here at the Army Grunt Museum. So that's my mission. Now, I'd like to introduce Michael Lynn. Michael Lynn has been very supportive of this organization and these events. Wow. Michael Lynn, Sr.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. It's a pleasure to have you here. So limited space, I said, what am I going to do I could get overwhelmed if I opened it up to all the services. I just couldn't have big enough space. So I said, hell, just call it an Army Bronze Museum. That's what I was. That's what I knew about. So I started thinking and put it together. I can't believe I get tingles every time in my spine, every time a veteran goes in there. How meaningful it is to, especially the Vietnam vets, especially the Vietnam vets. And that's what it was for. I wanted to keep the Vietnam War alive in the minds of the people. I wanted to honor those 58,000 plus that are on the walls and honor them. This Quilt of Honor thing, Quilt of Valor, I go ahead and call it honor, but it's Valor, is really at the heart of a Vietnam veteran. You young guys don't know, you didn't live through the era of that war, except if you were a Vietnam vet. What it was like coming home. There was no coming home other than, well, we had to get on that plane alive and get to see our loved ones. But it was utter chaos at the airport. Protesters called us baby killers, spitting at us, just degrading us in every way they could do it. This is your home. The museum doesn't charge anything. Like I said, anytime you're in the area you want to come in, if I'm in the building, I'll come down and sit and chat and talk, lie and bullshit. But that's the name of the game. So welcome again. Joe Bray does a fantastic job. So enjoy it. Let's have a good presentation.
Our first recipient is Ramiro Alviar. Ramiro, would you please come forward? Right in front of it so they can see you. And everybody can get photos. Ramiro was born on December 2nd, 1946 in San Antonio, Texas. He attended Edgewood High School and graduated in 1965. Ramiro enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in April of 1966 and did basic training in San Diego, California. Boot camp was the best time of my life, and I really had a great time, Ramiro says. After boot camp, Ramiro was assigned to the Naval Air Tactical Training Center in Memphis, Tennessee, working at engine school, jet school, and then into helicopter basics. Some of Ramiro's awards and decorations include the Good Conduct Medal, Combat Action Ribbon, Presidential Unit Citation, Navy Unit Commendation Medal, National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, the Vietnamese Campaign Medal with Device, Rifle Expert Badge, and Pistol Expert Badge. Ladies and gentlemen, Ramiro Alviar.
Always here.
All right, our next recipient, Robert F. Voorhees. Bob, a Washington, D.C. native, is a graduate of the University of Maryland, College Park, with a bachelor's degree in speech. He also holds a master's degree in healthcare administration from Baylor University. Bob served for over 26 years in the United States Army, retiring as a colonel in 1994. His military career took him to a variety of locations, including San Antonio and El Paso, Texas, Augsburg, Landstuhl, Nuremberg, Germany, Denver, Colorado, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Washington, D.C., and the Republic of Vietnam, where he served as an intelligence analyst with the 525th Military Intelligence Group, with duty as a medical intel analyst in the Combined Material Exploration Center at Tonsanut Air Force Base. Here, he was charged with preparing intel products relating to the VC and NVA medical system. In addition to exploring captured equipment, he traveled throughout South Vietnam on a variety of both rotary and fixed-wing aircraft, assessing captured medical equipment and supplies, and interviewing both U.S. and captured enemy soldiers. During his 26-year career, he was awarded numerous medals and citations, including 2 awards of the Legion of Merit, and was inducted into the Order of Military Medical Merit. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert F. Boris. Well, I see an awesome eagle on the front of that quilt. That looks gorgeous. Wow. Our next recipient, Loreto Manny Mendoza. This is quite a guy right here. Stand fast, Manny. Here we go. Manny was born in Alamo, Texas in 1949 to immigrant parents. Manny was raised in Edinburgh, Texas, in the heart of the Rio Grande Valley. As a young boy, Manny worked on a dairy farm feeding baby calves after school, and he worked his way up to cow milking. In 1970, after high school, Manny joined the United States Navy, following the footsteps of 2 of his older brothers, and 3 of the 5 brothers retired from the Navy. Manny did basic training in San Diego, California, and upon graduation, he was given orders and assigned to the aircraft carrier, United States USS Saratoga, CVA 60, home port, Mayport, Florida. After the Saratoga, Manny did a tour of duty with his brother with Patrol Squadron 50. Both of his brothers also did a tour in Vietnam. Aboard the destroyer USS Briscoe, Pascagoula, Mississippi. Here, Manny was awarded the Navy Achievement Medal and selected Sailor of the Year, then on to Sicily to serve with Fleet Logistics Support 24th Squadron. Then on to the Navy Recruiting District, Memphis, Tennessee, where he was awarded his 2nd Navy Commendation Medal. While in Portland, Maine, serving aboard the fast frigate, the USS Cloish FF 1049, Manny received his 3rd Navy Commendation Medal, and Manny's last duty station was Rota, Spain, where he would retire and receive his 4th Commendation Medal. After retiring from Randolph, Manny joined the All-Military Volunteer Memorial Service Detachment as a volunteer honor guard, rendering full military honors to veterans at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery, Monday through Friday, each and every week. Manny is now the detachment's commander, serving in the capacity for the past 5 years. And through July 20th, 2023, ladies and gentlemen, the Memorial Service Detachment at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery has performed 44,231 services. Ladies and gentlemen, Manny Mendoza. This is one exceptional human being. Okay, our next recipient, Robert E. Parker. Robert. U.S. Army Sergeant First Class, Robert Eugene Parker, retired. Served his country honorably and faithfully for more than 27 years. His career that began on September 12, 1989 through December 1st, 2017. He completed basic infantry training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, followed by advanced individual training as a unit supply specialist at Fort Lee, Virginia, home of the Quartermaster Corps. His first duty assignment was Fort Eustis, Virginia. During this phase of his career, he served during the invasion of Panama, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and participated in combat operations during Operation Restore Hope in Somalia in 1992. Awards and decorations include the Bronze Star, Iraq, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, NATO, Meritorious Service Medal, 3rd Award, Army Commendation Medal, 2nd Award, Army Achievement Medal, 3rd Award, Army Good Conduct Medal, 7th Award, National Defense Service Medal with Bronze Star, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Korea Defense Service Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal with Campaign Star, Non-Commissioned Officers Professional Development Ribbon, 3rd Award, Army Services Ribbon, Overseas Ribbon, 4th Award, Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal, in addition to be inducted into the Honorable Order of St. Martin, Quartermaster, and Honorable Order of St. Barbara, Artillery. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert E. Parker. Our next recipient, Felix S. Perez. Felix was born October 27, 1949 in McAllen, Texas. He grew up in a strict, loving, and traditional Hispanic household. He attended various schools in the Edgewood Independent School District, ultimately completing his GED program, achieving the required high school requirements. Felix was drafted in 1969 and reported to basic training at Fort Bliss, El Paso, Texas. After basic training, Felix was sent to Fort Huachuca, where he completed AIT, becoming a cook in our United States Army. After AIT, Felix was sent to Vietnam and joined the 25th Infantry Division, where he requested a change in assignment and was assigned to bunker detail for the remainder of his tour. Felix's unit moved around frequently, with Cu Chi, northwest of Saigon, being their base camp. Felix and his fellow bunker guards survived many enemy night raids, booby traps, constant rotations on unimaginable jungle conditions. Felix and the rest of his unit would build and stage bunkers to protect the unit's perimeter, unaware that they were near or above the famous Cu Chi enemy tunnels. Felix awards and decorations include, but are not all, the Sharpshooter's Qualification Badge with the M14, the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, and 2 overseas bars. After being honorably discharged in 1971, Felix had a very successful career, over 50 years, in the commercial and residential painting, renovation, and contracting business. Ladies and gentlemen, Felix S. Perez. Would Antonio Carlos Mendez please come forward? Carlos Mendoza is an American Legion Alamo Post member. Get this, he's a lifetime member, 2016 to present. May 2021 to present, he was the financial officer. September 2020 to May 2021, he was past post number 2 commander. From May 2019 to May 2020, he was the past first vice commander. And in 2017 to 2019, past House Committee chair and events coordinator. And his military career. 3 years in the United States Army, active duty, 1973 to 1976. 13 years United States Army Reserve, 1988 to 2001. 10 years in the United States Air Force Reserve with the Red Horse Squadron, 2004 to 2014. U.S. Air Force Reserves, several units to include the 554th Red Horse Squadron, Lackland Air Force Base, combat engineer, and other commands and companies. Awards and decorations include the Army Commendation Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, the Air Force Commendation Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, the Army Achievement Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, the Air Force Achievement Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, the Air Force Meritorious Unit Award, the Army Good Conduct Medal, the Army Reserve Components Achievement Medal, the Air Force Reserve's Meritorious Service Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, the National Defense Service Medal with Service Stars, the Air Force Expeditionary Service Ribbon with gold border and with 1 oak leaf cluster, the Afghanistan Campaign Medal with 1 service star, the Iraq Campaign Medal with 1 service star, the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, the Armed Forces Reserve Service Medal with M and 2 device, the Army NCO Professional Development Medal, the Armed Services Awards Medal, the Air Force Overseas Ribbon Short Term, and the Air Force Longevity Service Medal. Ladies and gentlemen, Antonio Carlos Mendoza. Oh, I do that every time during the ceremony, with at least one name. My sincere heart. I'll never learn. Quilts of Valor, Barb and Jack Steers, and the Quilts of Valor team has prepared and made a special quilt for Michael Lynn and for the Army Grunt Museum, and we want to present that to him today.
Your stories matter. Tell your stories. They matter. My friend Eileen over here, who does most of our tops, lost a son-in-law. This guy gave you permission to share your stories by opening up this museum. Hang out with your buddies. Tell your stories because they're important to us. So, Mr. Lynn, thank you from a grateful nation. It says, welcome home, soldier. Thank you from a grateful nation. And the bottom it says, the Vietnam Army All Vets Grunt Museum. Thank you, Mr. Lynn.
This was made in the museum, and it's a lot of vets come through that won't be awarded a quilt out. But I'm going to wrap them in this to welcome them home and take pictures in the museum. So that was the reason behind this. Beautiful.
Mike, you get in the center, please.
I'll cover it up.
No, back here, Mike, back here. Wayne, you're going to get some good shots. Yeah. Michael, you're going to hang that in the museum?
Put it in the museum that it's available to wrap vets.
Michael, while we have these cadets holding up the quilt, I'd like to ask Rosendo Gutierrez up. Rosendo is the president of the Edgewood District Veterans, who Michael, you
Great. First of all, I wanted to personally thank Mr. Lynch. Thank him personally in behalf of the Edgewood District Veterans for, first of all, being such a tremendous host so that we could have our Quilt of Valor presentations. Mr. Joe Bray, who's head of our committee for the Edgewood District Veterans, Dr. Mario Longoria, and Edna Kitchen, who have been trying tremendously to get the bios from each of the veterans so that we can make this presentation possible. I want to thank them, but I also want to say that to show our thanks for the lunch that you provide us with as president, and using my presidential discretionary funds, I'm going to give a check of $300 for today's ceremony. Thank you very much. I want that to go to the Vietnam War Grunts Museum.
Good will.
Okay? All right. Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
In 1965, after I graduated from Edgewood High School, I was called in December, and so right after signing up, I was qualified to go to Memphis to go to naval school for aircraft engines. So I went to Naval School Academy there in Memphis, Tennessee, and I learned all about jets and helicopters. Soon after that, within a couple of months after graduating, I was sent to Da Nang, Vietnam, and I spent 12, 13 months there, and I was stationed at a place called Marble Mountain. Marble Mountain was a helicopter base located about 20, 30 miles from Da Nang. And we worked there as aircraft mechanics. And soon after that, I volunteered to start my, I guess, career as a gunner. I went to gunner school there while I was going to my job. And then I started flying. I started flying as a gunner, and pretty soon after that as a crew chief. So we had almost for the remainder of the 6 months, we did a lot of flying, resupplying medevacs, and so that was my part for the year that I was there in Vietnam, and I came back a year later. I served 4 years in the Marine Corps, and I got out in 1970, and I was stationed in California at the time. And then I came back to the Texas right after my I guess mustering out the Marine Corps, and I joined the police department several years later.
In addition to Vietnam, I served at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Fort Bliss, Texas. I think that pretty well covers it, along with 3 duty stations in Germany. I was in Augsburg, Landstuhl, and Nuremberg in Germany. I was a medical service corps officer. Early in my career, I was in a very small field called medical intelligence, which is pretty much as you would expect it to be, finding out a lot about our enemies' medical systems and so forth. That's what I did exclusively in Vietnam. And then in the latter part of my career, after I got a master's degree in healthcare administration, I worked in medical facilities, culminating in my last position as Chief of Staff of William Beaumont Army Medical Center at Fort Bliss, Texas, and that's where I retired.
I joined the Army in 1973 and went to Fort Polk, Louisiana for basic training, Tigerland, Little Vietnam, as it was known. Then I went on to engineer school in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, and then went down to Fort Benning, Georgia for jump school and stationed there with the 43rd Engineer Battalion, 36 Engineer Group. I was a combat engineer, and my claim to fame during the Vietnam War was I was involved in Operation Baby Lift in 1975 when we were bringing the orphans back from Vietnam into the country, and we accepted them down at Fort Benning, unloaded the children, and passed them on to their new homes.
I was an administrator, and I did it for 22 years, and I was the company clerk, for lack of better words, and I enjoyed it, and it was wonderful, and appreciate what the Navy allowed me to do. You know, my 2 brothers did, but I did not. I went to San Diego for my boot camp, and I thought, sure enough, I would be heading for Vietnam. But it turned out the Navy needed me in Florida, so they transferred me all the way across to the USS Saratoga in Mayport, Florida. And that's where I started my career.
Oh, I served in the Army over 28 years, various stations, various divisions, 1st Cav Division, 2nd Infantry Division, 172nd Infantry Brigade. I was a Buffalo soldier. I was a supply sergeant. I was a platoon sergeant. I was in operations in Somalia and Iraq. I served during every conflict from the invasion of Panama all the way through Afghanistan. It's been an honor to serve this great country. I was a supply sergeant or a senior logistics NCO, but mainly a supply sergeant in the United States Army.
I was with the Army, 25th Infantry Division. As my activities were, I was mostly bunker guard. I switched from, I went from cook to a bunker guard. I didn't care to be a cook, so I decided to be go bunker guard. They couldn't put me out in the field because I didn't have jungle formal training, so the best I could do was bunker guard.
Every soldier who gave their life lives forever. Every soldier who fought the fight echoes in our minds. All the wounded and the brave, the ones God couldn't save. We salute your courage. Coming home with pride. Coming home with pride. Coming home with heads high, high. Heads held high. Coming home from lands afar. Coming home to your arms. All those heroes who defend our flag will live on forever. All the heroes, both young and old, that soldier on to unknowns from across this changing world.